Hi friends, welcome to my little corner on the interwebs. If you're new here, my name's Kathlena and I'm autistic with a heavy dash of ADHD. I make videos about autism, neurodiversity, and my experiences as a late diagnosed autistic woman. So if that's something that interests you, be sure to click the subscribe button below. You can also find me on Instagram at neurodivergentme for more regular interaction. In today's video, we are going to be talking about stimming. This is a video that I've wanted to make for a really long time, but I've put off because it feels very vulnerable to talk about and to share. When I first started to suspect that I might be on the spectrum, one of the things that was most confusing to me was stimming. Most commonly, what is known and talked about in connection to stimming and autistic individuals are things that are very outwardly obvious, like hand flapping and spinning or rocking, things along those lines, which those are all stims. But when I was trying to figure out if I displayed any of these behaviors, I found myself really confused and kind of talking myself out of potentially being autistic because I didn't necessarily do those things. I'm still continuing to learn about stimming, but the more that I kind of read about it, I realized I stim a lot. And so today we're going to talk about what stimming is, kind of what it can look like, and why it's really important. I will also be sharing the ways in which I personally stim. So first off, what is stimming? Stimming is basically a repetitive, self-stimulating action that can involve any of the senses, including visual, sound, taste, smells, balance, and movement. Neurodivergent or not, everyone stims. People who bounce their legs when they're bored, or twiddle their thumbs, or pick at their cuticle skin, or play with their hair. These are all stimming behaviors. So everyone does stim, but we see it a lot more in neurodivergent people. So why do we stim? Simply put, it's a way for us to self-regulate, seek sensory input or expression. When someone is experiencing sensory input that is overwhelming or too much, stimming can be a way to replace negative input with positive input. And this self-regulation is really important in helping to prevent potential overwhelm and meltdowns. Also, because usually it just feels really good. Stimming behaviors, as long as they are not self-harming or potentially harming to others, should never be discouraged. ABA therapy is the most common form of therapy that's offered to autistic children and is very well known for discouraging harmless stimming behaviors. This can have a detrimental impact on the child's mental health. Another important issue that should be discussed when we're talking about stimming is the potential dangers of stimming in public, especially for people of color. Unfortunately, our police system are not well trained when it comes to identifying and engaging with autistic people, and this can lead to stimming behaviors being misunderstood or judged and lead to potentially dangerous situations for the autistic person. I don't necessarily know what the solution for this issue is, other than hopefully training our public servants to be able to better identify and engage with those of us that are autistic. But I did just want to mention it in this video because it's a topic that doesn't really get talked about a lot. So as vulnerable as this feels for me, I am going to go ahead and share some of the ways in which I choose to stim. As you saw at the beginning of the video, whenever I sit down and film, pretty much the clip that you saw is a ritual that I do before every single video, and often in between takes as well. I just tend to cut them out. I'm just now getting to a place where I can appreciate and embrace my stimming behaviors, but if I'm being 100% honest, when it comes to my day-to-day life, these are things that I often still choose to keep to myself, and I don't really share with a lot of people in my real life. So the few of the most common ways that I stim would be picking or chewing on my cuticle skin, also chewing my cheeks. I completely get that both of those behaviors are technically self-harming, but they are soothing for me, and thinking about stopping them gives me a little bit of anxiety. Some other ways that I stim are frequent throat clearing, like that, and then also swallowing air and burping it up. And that is kind of embarrassing for me to admit, but that has been one of my most consistent stims for as long as I can remember. Same with the cuticle picking and the cheek biting. I've been doing that since I was a kid. I also like to rub my hands together a lot, or do this, opening and closing my fists. These are ones that I feel a little bit more comfortable doing in public. So if I'm in a grocery store and I'm starting to feel anxious or overwhelmed, things like this are stims that I will often do in those situations. I also stretch a lot. So like you saw in the beginning of the video, I kind of have this very like strict pattern of stretching that it goes in the same order every time pretty much. And I also do a lot of joint cracking, so not just cracking my knuckles, but also my wrists, and then my elbows, and then my shoulders, and then my neck, and then I will do this to kind of adjust and crack my back, and then I will move down to my hips, and then my ankles, and then my toes. Those stims I have found, especially the way in which I crack my hip, have caused issues with my body, and I am trying to find a way to replace those with healthier stims, because since I've been doing those for so many years daily, I have found that I have my body hurts a lot because of it, and I'm very like out of balance, so I'm trying to figure out ways to replace those with healthier stims. I've found that going to the chiropractor regularly has helped me decrease the need to do those particular stims. Not necessarily the cracking of my knuckles or my wrists or my elbows, but it has helped me with the cracking of my hips a lot. I also, not as regularly, but I do also do toe walking, and that is usually when I'm stepping in an environment that's just not satisfying for me, whether there's whether I don't like the temperature of the floor that I'm stepping on. When I'm excited, I will do more toe walking, but it's not something that I do on a regular everyday basis. I also absolutely love swinging as a form of stimming. That's one of my favorite happy stims that I kind of stopped doing as an adult, and then rediscovered my love for it, and so I definitely swing a lot more, and it just feels really good. It's very enjoyable for me. Another way that I stim is with stimming toys. So I have simple ones like this, if I can find them on, if it will focus, if I can find them on Amazon, I'll link them down below, the ones that I have, but you can also just type in Stimming Toys on Amazon and find a bunch of little things. I also have, I really like this one. It's very satisfying for me. I like the weight of it. I like the sound of it. I like the very like consistent movement. My husband's not a fan of this one just because it can be kind of distracting for him, but I really enjoy this one. There are also ones, I have these little rings that are really nice for helping to replace the chewing on my cuticles. I still do chew on my cuticles, but these are really nice to help kind of prevent that a little bit. And then I also have things like little puzzle toys. So this one is a funsy one that comes out like this, and then you put it back together into a cube. I'm not going to do that right now because it takes me a little bit of time, but yeah, those have been really fun to kind of just have throughout the house, and I'll find myself picking them up and playing with them when I need a little bit of mental stimulation. However you choose to do it, as long as you aren't harming yourself or harming others, I do think that stimming is a really important behavior that if you feel drawn to do it. Since learning that I was autistic, I have started to kind of allow myself to let my wall down a little bit around that, and try to engage a little bit more with stimming, and trying different things, and also trying not to feel as self-conscious about it, because I can see the value that it really offers for me. So that's it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and comment down below. Let me know if you learned anything or what ways you like to stim. Remember to be kind to yourself,